But we're not going to throw out something that's very complex and has a lot of meaning if no one's going to look at it.
Wouldn't that grab more attention the more complex it is? Because a circle could just be a burn spot.
But what I'm saying is, compared to, let's say, 1930, if they put something out there with deep meaning, there's people don't have video cameras and stuff like that, and you can't share it.
So we're under the assumption then that the aliens know that we have video cameras, so they're making things more complex.
That's my assumption. That is the assumption we're under.
Your assumption is that the aliens know that we have a certain set of technology, and they grow accordingly.
Yeah.
All right then.
I'm saying that they're making the message. They're putting a deeper message is being introduced as more eyes are on the messages. Why start with a very deep, meaningful message that's going to get mowed down in a couple months that no one sees?
Right.
So you put small crumbs out to get attention, and then once people are looking, now start putting things out that maybe have more meaning.
I guess too, you could make the argument that there wasn't a whole lot of aeronautics going on in the 30s. So
that's true too. These things
you
are
can't see them from the sky.
There
you go.
Not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not ready to buy that one yet, but if you want to keep trying to sell it,
yeah, that's an aspect.
I'll listen to your pitch.
All right. So now that we're talking about the formations, but anything else? So Matt kind of weighed in. Jeff, any comments on that? Do you have any thoughts on why do you think? Why in the 80s and 90s did this suddenly seem to come out of nowhere? We have the mowing devil in 1896.
Yeah.
But why is it in the 80s and 90s?
Well,
is there anything to grab from it, or is it a nothing burger?
I think the aliens liked our neon shirts and scrunchies.
I just think that humans got more crafty with.
Doug and Dave we're coming into their own.
They had more technology. Doug and Dave had more technology.
Doug and Dave had better technology.
The only thing is that I can't explain is that, and what we've been watching here is that there's no one comes forward, and these things are so complex. How do they happen overnight?
Okay.
So that's the question.
So let's talk about what we're going to talk about next is each of us was supposed to look into a specific formation. Okay. So three notable formations. So I'm going to go first, and the reason why is because of what Jeff just said, which is about being made overnight. The last thing that came out of your mouth was that these things were made overnight, and that was one of the things that you said.
Or in one flash of light.
They just appeared.
We're going to talk about three different formations. I'm going to go first. Mine was in 1996, and this is known as the Julius Crop Circle. Okay. Now, but it's not so much that anything specifically about the formation, but it's how it came to be that makes it notable. So, the story behind the Julius Crop Circle is you have a pilot named Rod Taylor. And basically, Rod's gig was that he was a local pilot that people obviously go to Stonehenge. You know what I mean? People go to England and want to see Stonehenge. So he would basically do flyovers. They'd come to the plane, at the airport to his plane, get in the plane, fly out to Stonehenge, circle around so people could see it from the air, and then he would fly him back to the airport. So Rod Taylor, so on this day in 1996, Rod Taylor, he's in the plane with a photographer and like one or two passengers that are the ones paying to be flown out to Stonehenge and back for that particular trip. They fly out to Stonehenge, see Stonehenge, circle around, go back to the airport, refuel, get the next two people that want to go out and see Stonehenge in the plane, but the photographer is still there because the photographer is, I guess, just riding with them all day. Okay. They fly out to Stonehenge, but this time when they get to Stonehenge, right across the street from Stonehenge is this amazing crop formation. So not only is it the pilot Rod Taylor's story, but there's this photographer also there to back it up, but it gets deeper than that. They calculated the amount of time, and it was 25 minutes. So they calculated from when they were at Stonehenge on the first flight to when they went back, refueled, and came out with the next couple, that within 25 minutes, an entire crop circle formation appeared, and it appeared right across the street from Stonehenge. But here's the other thing that's going on. It's not just their story. It is a ton of people because it's Stonehenge. What you have right across the street is hundreds of people and tons of cars and all these people. No one saw it being made, but everybody else, like when they got back there was already people looking at the crop circle. So tons of people. Suddenly, this thing is just instantly there, and all these people are there. So it's not just a story, but like there's other people that were there that day at Stonehenge and be like, we got here because we parked our car, right? This is where we parked our car. We just parked our car here 30 minutes ago, and there was no crop circle. Then we come back to our car, and there's a crop circle. So there's something amazing about that, and that goes back to so when you said about they just happen overnight. Here's one of the really beautiful ones happening in under 25 minutes.
Wow. During the day.
In the daytime too.
Yeah.
It's not like, and there's all
daylight.
And the thing is, it's like, if this is Doug and Dave, why are Doug and Dave literally doing this right across the street from Stonehenge, where anybody could have seen them just making it? Like, hey, look, there's two idiots in a film making a crop circle. So anyways, that's the Julius. The next one I have here is actually, we're going to kick over
to be fair on that though, they were all looking at Stonehenge.
Yeah.
I mean, when I go to Stonehenge,
their back was to the...
I could not, when I just went to Washington, D.C. a couple weeks ago, I could not tell you what was behind me when I was looking at one of the monuments. But if I would have walked back to my car, had I parked there, I mean, I'm just saying.
But there's just not one person that saw anybody making it or that saw it being made, but there's all, that's all,
Well, either way, even if
crazy.
they were looking at Stonehenge, how long were they looking at Stonehenge?
Yeah.
Were they spending 3 hours?
Yeah.
3 hours is still an impressive amount of time to create that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially even 25 minutes then, if that story's true. But again, I'm always taking this from the approach of, if Rod Taylor says him and the photographer in the plane, like, why, unless they're lying, like, I'm just not going to be like, my perspective of it is, I'll be skeptic, I'll believe things, but if you're telling me that this is what you saw, then, like, I'm just going to keep carrying forward with what you said. So I'm not going to be like, well, this isn't true, because he could just be lying. Like, it just gets for me, just too easy to dismiss that, although it's always a possibility, obviously, clearly. So we're going to go to Jeff next. And Jeff, you're going to tell us about the Milk Hill Formation. And I have an audio clip. Do you mind if I play the clip first?
Sure.
And then we'll have you talk about it. So let me play number 8 here.
People are saying this is the most amazing formation that's ever hit the deck. And I would kind of agree with them, really. It's the biggest, the most expansive, smashed all records for numbers of circles and geographical spread. Everything about it is like the absolute pinnacle almost of the whole 20 years or so. When I first walked into this thing, so vast, I had absolutely no idea of what I was standing in. Just a sea of circles covering a large proportion of the field. It took us half hour to find the centre. It gives one a fairly good impression of the scale of this thing, and that's after looking at hundreds of circles over the years, so we're pretty familiar with geometric shapes and patterns in a field and figuring them out. This one, I mean, I ask you, 409 circles. That's a tall order by anyone's standard.
It's a helicopter noise.
It was raining all night. The night this formation came down. This is a high altitude location. This takes a battering by the weather. We were the first ones in here when this formation arrived. No footprints, no mud, no broken plants. All the centres were perfect. No sign of human activity or entry into this field at all. I've seen the result of a team of people or a gang of people smashing around in a cornfield all night. They make a hell of a mess. You just can't help it. It's a matter of fact. This was totally inconsistent with everything I know about human-made crop circles. You can't do that in a cornfield. Just hit the deck perfectly first time around. No errors, no mistakes, no glitches. It's just here, and it arrived in a few hours in perfect condition.
Okay.
Sounds so cool when he says it.
Yeah.
Though, right?
All right. So basically, this was 2001, and at the time, it was just basically a huge formation.
It was standing in it.
Yeah. So Jeff, go ahead. Tell us about Milk Hill.
Okay. So so that was a massive 800-foot crop circle, which appeared in this remote area called Milk Hill of Wiltshire, or Wiltshire, England, and that was August 12th, 2001. And there were exactly 409 circles, very complex and elaborate. And it's the circles formed what's known as a triskelion. Yeah, it's triskelion, a motif consisting of these 3 interlocking spirals. And what left the researchers and scientists baffled were certain things like. How could this have just been created overnight? So I will just go into a couple of the theories and explanations.
Okay.
The first being the UFOs created them. But the problem with that is that there were no proven sightings or credible witnesses of actual UFOs creating the circles. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, is it a hoax? Well, hoaxes are often found to be sloppy and less precise. Precise hoaxes require an enormous amount of time to create, and Milk Hill apparently appeared in one night, not in pieces, right? And number three, the other question was, could it have been a microwave? Not a microwave oven, but a microwave heater of sorts that could have created it. These microwaves push down the crops without breaking them, apparently. With our Dave and Buster or whatever they are.
Doug and Dave.
Doug and Dave.
Dave and Buster's. The arcade.
That's why they call it that. Barrels of fun.
They used wooden planks, and that would break the crops. But this microwave, and I'm picturing like in my kitchen, great big ass microwave, is somehow pushing down these crops, and it's like bending them without breaking them. But the question with that becomes, well, who in the hell can bring out a microwave like that in the middle of a field and not be detected? So
it makes something 800 feet wide.
Exactly. And
why?
So Richard Taylor, he's the University of Oregon researcher. He believes that crop circle artists are using GPS devices, lasers, and microwaves to create these crop circles, such as the ones that we saw at Milk Hill.
He thinks that who's using them? What?
He's saying that they call them crop circle artists.
Uh-huh.
And they're highly skilled. They have GPS devices, lasers, and microwaves to create crop circles.
Interesting.
But he said, once again, if they're done by crop circle artists, they have not come forward, and they would need considerable amounts of resources and skills to carry it out.
Mm-hmm.
So,
okay, yeah.
Where do they get the
Milk Hill
resources to do this?
They're all mathematicians.
This is like what's like the not the Illuminati, but like what's the thing that like the club that George Bush is supposedly in, like
Freemasons.
Is it the Freemasons or whatever? But like this is like the Freemasons of mathematicians,
right?
And like to get in, you have to go make a crop circle.
Yeah,
that's your initiation.
And when you become the Grand Dragon,
yes,
or Grand whatever they call their person. I think Grand Dragon is the wrong example, but you have to create a big one.
They basically just egg each other on. It's like, I bet I can make a formation in one night. It's like, I bet you I can do it in 25 minutes next to Stonehenge. Like, no way.
Right. And then Bob comes in. He's like, guys, I just got a huge microwave.
Yeah. All right, so Matt, you're going to tell us about the Eastfield pictogram at Alton Barnes.
No clip for me on this one? Or?
No clip on this one.
Oh, you go on your own, man.
Did you pick this one on purpose? Because one of the theories behind this is the one where it was one of the first ones that was showing all the circles that were connected.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Looks like just this big, gigantic
What
worm.
was the year of this? Was this in 1990 or something?
It was in the 90s, I thought.
Yeah, and I guess maybe the thing was at the time that this was just one of the one. I can't remember, and but from what you're beginning to say, it sounds like this was one of those first ones to kind of start becoming complex.
Picked a new series of them. Mm-hmm. What gets me is, excuse me, I was actually reading a little bit about this more than just the documentary didn't give me much.
No.
Not that I remember anyway. But when I was reading about it, and I thought it was interesting, you picked this based on our previous podcasts. One of the theories is that it was actually formed using psychokinetic energy of the human minds collectively. Mm-hmm. So that a whole bunch of people, the negative energy that they were feeling, I'm not a psychokineticist, right, if that's the right term, but that all the energy and thoughts that people were feeling somehow combined and forced this formation to be created. So that's the theory behind it. I wish we could show a picture of something of it. It's basically just real linear. Mm-hmm. It's basically just circle, lines, circle, lines, circle, lines. Similar to what I just showed you guys.
Remember the movie Signs, the Mel Gibson movie?
Yeah.
I would say that the one like when you remember back to the commercial, or even like if you look at the movie poster, the front of the DVD cover, like the kind of the crop circle that they show in advertised movie Signs with is probably very close for the
replicated.
To get a quick idea of what this particular one looked like.
I thought the theory behind it was interesting, that it was just a combination of energy of the mind.
Well, was that the part of the documentary too where there was like a group of